Well, another episode of Jay Leno's Garage. You might remember a while back, Mission Motors was down here with an electric motorcycle, and I drove it, was really impressed, incredibly fast, and I said to him, well, when you actually make it into production, give us a call, bring the production bike down here, and we'll take it for a ride. Well, they've done that. They've changed the name to Mission Motorcycles. Let's meet the president. Mark, how are you?
Hey, Jay, how you doing?
Mark Seeger, how you doing?
Thank you very much.
Wow, you guys got this done pretty quickly.
2 years. We took the bike from prototype to production in the last 24 months, and here we are.
You know, the number of people that come by here with various vehicles, some of them are dreamers, some of them mean well, had a couple of scammers. And the idea, it is so hard to take something from prototype to actual production. I applaud you guys. It's a beautiful looking motorcycle. The one I drove when it was Mission Motors, how much different is the production bike?
Well, that's really the trick, Jay, because what you got to do is you got to go from prototype to production without losing anything. And typically you do. And what we've been able to do, we think, and you're going to validate this for us later, is we've gone from prototype to production without losing any performance. Right. In fact, we've actually gained a little bit.
I know it's what, 163 horsepower?
163 horsepower at the motor, 160 horsepower at the wheel, 120 foot-pounds of torque instantly available.
Yeah, and you know, 163 horsepower electric feels different than 160 horsepower gas because you get it from, boom, you get instantly torque
available
right from the get-go. The real trick is the fact that it looks like a contemporary motorcycle. If someone was not a motorcycle person, they would just assume it was a gas engine bike.
And that was the point.
I think that's the point of it, to make it look like a real motorcycle and do everything a real motorcycle does. You know, my problem with a lot of electric vehicles is the same problem I have with those veggie burgers. They look like a hamburger, and the patty looks like it's meat, and then you bite into it and you go, oh, this is awful.
It's all compromise usually, right?
That's what I mean.
What you just said is zero compromise is exactly what we tried to do. We wanted to make a bike that looked like a bike that had its minimum threshold, the best gas bikes you can buy, and we can only go better from there. So what we've done is it looks like a real bike. It actually races faster than a bike, than the standard internal combustion engines. And we've taken it a step further also with the experience. So what you're looking at right there is our dashboard.
Right.
It's an actual internet-connected computer, which gives you Google Maps, turn-by-turn directions. It gives you telemetry readout. We've got an HD camera built in that shows over the image stabilized video. The fighter pilot, you know that green text the fighter pilot sees? You get the same thing, and it's uploaded to the web, and a whole bunch of other features. Our whole idea with this was make motorcycle 2.0.
Right. You know, I always say electricity is like sex. People have no compulsion about lying about it. What is the real world? I mean, assuming you don't have a Japanese hunger striker driving naked and barefoot, what is the actual real world mileage?
Absolutely, and that's the number that matters. Ours is 140 miles.
It is 140 miles.
140 miles.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very impressive. And obviously you have the Brembo brakes and the best accessories. Whose fork is that in the front?
Olin's, gas
Olin's
charged.
fork. Oh, gas charged fork. Okay,
yeah,
very nice. And your battery pack obviously is in here?
Battery pack is right here. We call this the battery box. The reason why it's here is for two reasons. Number one, for stability. This thing has to handle better than any other bike out there, and it does that. The other reason is our whole design mantra with this bike and all of our bikes that we produce is to appreciate, get better with time. So from a software point of view, we push software updates out regularly, new features, new capabilities, and it's all free and it just happens automatically. Look, everyone knows battery technology has a long way to go. They're going to get better. They're good now, and they're going to get better every single year. So if you're buying a bike, we want your bike to get better and grow with that. So we've designed the battery module to just come right out. And when we sell a new one that's twice as powerful, twice as light or whatever, drop a new one in. Not only that will you get the benefits of a new battery, that motor is actually much more powerful than 160 horsepower.
What is the weight of the vehicle?
So the weight of the vehicle starts at 490 pounds.
Oh, that's not bad. So you're under 500 pounds.
And it goes up from there depending on which batteries you put in.
Gotcha. What does this one weigh? I assume this has the top of the line battery pack?
Yeah, this one's about 540.
540.
Yeah, 540,
okay,
545.
Very good.
There's a closed circuit, liquid cooling circuit from the motor to the electronics and the charger, and that just circulates. They use each other as a heat sink.
Now, does that cool the batteries or the motor?
No, just the motor and the electronics.
Just the motor electronics.
We designed our battery system to be as passive and as simple as possible.
Okay, very good. And obviously, there's no clutch. So
no clutch. You're going to reach for it every time you drive it, but it's
so
not
you have integrated braking in here?
The braking is standard hydraulic brakes here.
Okay.
The regenerative braking is here, which is just engine braking.
See.
That's done on the throttle,
but,
so you get the extra
front
control.
and rear brake are not linked. No, okay.
No, standard.
So obviously you don't really use the brakes much at all. You just let the regen do it.
You can. Yeah.
And obviously there's no transmission. It's one gear.
One gear, direct drive. So you're actually always in the perfect gear all the time. And that
now
makes
some
it so
manufacturers are doing electric bikes with transmissions.
That's right.
Why are you guys not doing that?
We don't want to compromise.
Yeah.
The moment you start an electric bike and you design for a price point, you have to compromise everything else. Smaller motor, smaller batteries, weaker batteries, that sort of thing. And then you're forced to use a transmission. We did it the other way around. We designed the best bike we possibly could. And electric motors, as you know, have a flat torque curve. They always put out the same power no matter what speed you're running at. So we don't actually need a transmission. We're always in the right gear.
And the interesting thing is, with the exception of brake fluid, there's no maintenance on this bike at all, is
Brakes and tires. That's
yeah,
it.
just brakes and tires.
We have never burned out a motor or broken a gearbox or anything. It just sort of works.
Yeah, electric motors are pretty bulletproof. We were talking about my 1909 Baker Electric.
That car is
that's,
amazing.
105 years old, 104 years old. And in the 20 years I've had it, I've never touched the motor. I've never done anything to it except charge it and drive it.
We've done 5 years of lifetime testing, beaten them up like crazy, and have never had a failure. There's one moving part, and you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as you can see, it's a nice looking bike. Let's put a leg over it and see how... Are you carrying your weight fairly high? Where is the battery end? Where's the top of the battery?
Battery end's right here,
Okay.
and it starts right about here.
Okay.
And that's meant to keep the center of gravity as low as
Gotcha,
possible.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's certainly a comfortable bike. It's got a nice feel to it.
Yeah.
And as you can see, it makes no noise at all.
It's actually on right now.
That's amazing.
You want to take it for a spin?
I think it's time to take it for a spin.
Let's go.
Now, speed is deceiving in this thing. You find yourself going a lot faster than you thought you were just because of the lack of vibration and noise. It's probably a few pounds heavier than a conventional superbike. I mean, it carries its weight very nicely. It handles well. I'm no motorcycle racer, obviously, but I don't find it to be clumsy. It's just so smooth, and the lack of vibration just makes you go faster and faster. And with the Regen Braking, you find yourself hardly ever using the brakes at all. Obviously, you do use them when you want to come to a complete stop, but when you roll off that throttle, you just see the Regen go into action and put more electricity back in the motor. Now it kind of makes you wonder, what if the electric motorcycle had come first? And then you get on a gas bike and you go, whoa, hey, why do I have to shift gears? Why is it so noisy? Hey, why do I have to fill it up with gas all the time? You know, you drive this for a while, or you ride this for a while, and it feels like the most natural thing in the world. You've got torque at every part of the throttle, you know, no downshifting, no nothing. You just open the throttle and you go. Well, the Regen is great fun because you come down a long slope like this, just pull it back and you see it's putting more energy back into the motor, so you're getting more mileage. It's got plenty of power. It's a lot of fun. Let's take it up on the freeway, see how it cruises. Funny, my instinct is to keep downshifting and I'm reaching for a pedal that's not there. We all love the sounds of motorcycles, especially Harleys and Ducatis. But there's something nice about the absence of sound, too. I mean, what you have here is virtually a maintenance-free vehicle. Because even motorcycles now are, what, 25, 30 bucks to fill up? Yes, you plug it in the wall and boom, you're ready to go. Very relaxing, very smooth, and all kinds of power. Now, like the Tesla car, most electrics don't have high top speed because they're just using too much energy. I imagine the top speed of this motorcycle is probably around 120, something like that. And although that doesn't sound like much compared to the big Kawasaki's and some of the other super bikes, how often do you really find yourself running 150 on the street? You know, the real fun is between 40 miles an hour and 100 miles an hour. That's where everything happens. You know, it's funny, I have a lot of vehicles that sit for a while, and if stuff sits more than a month or two, the gas goes bad and, you know, fuel systems get clogged. An electric bike, it can sit for 10 years and boom, you get on and you go. I mean, it's pretty amazing. You know, normally on a hot day like today, it's about 95 degrees here in Los Angeles. I would feel the heat coming up through that fairing. You don't get any of that. Hey, pretty impressive. Yeah?
We never found out how much this thing costs.
What you're riding is $29,000.
$29,000, okay. And that's about, that's probably a little more than contemporary gas bike, but you never have to put gas in it. Now, if people want to get one of these, how do they get in touch with you?
Just go to www.mission-motorcycles.com and you can buy them right there and we'll hand deliver.
It's the future, what can I say? See you next week.
Mm-hmm.